Hello everybody, and thank you for joining our today's webinar on marketing automation. I'm Ayesha Kayani and I'm a technical marketing engineer here at Xgrid, and I'll be moderating a webinar where we'll be discussing how we helped a SaaS startup increase its win rate by 38%. A little bit about myself. I've been doing product marketing and writing about enterprise softwares for many years. I'm focused on marketing automation, and so I've experienced firsthand some of the challenges that sometimes coincides with the adopting marketing automation. Okay, so that's me, and super excited to hand it over to my fellow experts in a couple of moments. But let's get started with their intro first. So over to you, Rahman.
All right, thank you, Ayesha. I'm Rahman Mukarram. I'm a customer success manager here at Xgrid. I have a diverse experience of managing teams to deliver top-notch results, and I'm super excited to be a part of this webinar.
Thank you, guys. My name is Ahmed Zeeshair, and I'm a 3-time certified Salesforce Advanced Administrator, currently working for Xgrid and helping their clients transform their businesses through the intelligent use of Salesforce technologies.
Thank you so much, guys, for taking your time out and being part of this webinar. All right, a couple of housekeeping rules before we begin. The webinar is being recorded, and the slides and recording will be available on demand after it concludes. If you have any question, please reach us out at letstalk@xgrid.co and use our hashtag MktngOpsXgrid if you want to post something about this webinar. Okay, first, the agenda. We'll be kickstarting with the impact of marketing operations on B2B sales and how it helps drive business. To prove our point, we'll be discussing how we helped one of our customers address their pain points and breaking down the barriers between Marketo and Salesforce to unleash their full potential. And we will also be spilling some beans over Marketo and Salesforce secrets, so stay tuned. So let's talk about the impact of marketing automation, and as you can see, the numbers speak for themselves. Adopting marketing automation increases your lead generation by 61% and lead nurture by 57%, which in turn drives revenue by 47%. From that, you could acknowledge the importance of marketing automation. Before we deep dive into the details, sharing some of the words of wisdom by a tech genius who says the first rule of any technology used in a business is that automation applied to an efficient operation will magnify the efficiency, and the second it is applied to an inefficient operation will magnify the inefficiency. Now, this is super relevant to our case study because our client had been using automation in a way which was inefficient and was costing them a fortune with no results. In order to understand the underlying pain points, we had series of meetings and discussions to highlight some of the challenges, and we noticed that the failure to effectively utilize automation was and the lack of engaging content and relying on the low quality data, automating tasks that should not have been automated, and we also noticed an inflexible and unscalable system. Apart from that, there was another major issue which was the cross-channel platform integration, which was actually leading to data duplication, and some of the limited insights and reporting constraints were not providing enough results, which should have been. Now we will talk about each one of these in details as we proceed. So, we've got another quote. So we've learned from Master Yoda that failure is the best teacher. We conducted a thorough audit of the system and noticed that the client was following some of the workflows and practices which were ending up in failure. And we knew what not to do. So the point was what to do. Now this is where things get interesting and Xgrid comes in action with its Marketo magic. An interesting thing is that we talk about some of our workflows that we integrated for the client. It also underlines some of the best practices of Marketo and Salesforce, which would definitely help audience level up their instances. Okay, coming to the first one, the Munchkin. Now, in order to associate the lead with the respective web data, Marketo works with its own pixel called Munchkin. We implemented Munchkin on web pages in order to start collecting data from the corresponding to leads. That includes page views, date visited, URL paths, and much more. So it is worth mentioning that since Munchkin places a tracking cookie into the visitor's browser, our developers wrap the Munchkin code in the GDPR function to achieve its compliance. So more on compliance to come from Rahman. Another thing is one of the issues we noticed in our client setup was program creation. So initially they were creating all the programs from scratch and it was taking a lot of time. So we minimized this time by designing program templates for webinars, events, promotional emails, nurture programs, content syndications, and much more. So each time there was a request for a new program, we would simply clone the desired template, and it would copy all the dependent assets in it. So we would simply tweak the program for minor edits, and it was ready in no time. Now, scalability of a solution is heavily reliant on its organization and record keeping. So we introduced a standardized naming convention for all the programs to keep a track of it. Our naming pattern included target region for marketing campaign, followed by program type, date followed by its brief description. So we also created a name generator tool keeping in mind all these specifications, and we'll be sharing the link in description for you guys to check it out, and it's free to use. So one of the best features we leveraged in Marketo was tokenization. Now each program, say webinar, has different set of speakers, starting time, location. So there are many fields which need to be added in all invite emails, reminders, last reminders, and follow-up emails. So instead of updating this sort of information in all places, Marketo allows us to use tokens which act as a placeholder. Once you define a value for them, it is updated at all instances wherever it is called. So this is not only helped in quick updates, but also reduces the chances of human error, since you won't have to find and replace all instances manually. Among other integrations which Rahman and Ahmed will be discussing shortly, I will be talking about the event integrations. So the integrations like Zoom and Guru webinars triggered auto sync in Marketo for all the member statuses. So for any webinar, if a person is registered on Zoom, his status is automatically updated in Marketo as well. So this way we didn't have to manually keep track of all the registrations or event attendance, so it was all taken care of. Okay, coming to the A/B testing, content is the king. You have to make sure to find the right content to drive the conversion instead of just crossing your fingers and hoping for the best. The power of A/B testing helped us optimize marketing campaigns by defining certain set of subject lines and testing them on sample audience, say 20% of the total audience. So based on the winning criteria, which may be more open rates or click rates, the winner email would be sent to the remaining 80% of the audience. It helped us set the right content for the right audience, driving more open rates for our client. Now, these are some of the practices that we followed in Marketo. Now to discuss the database management, Rahman will be taking over. Over to you, Rahman.
Thank you, Ayesha. So let's dive straight into it. In marketing automation, the program's success is always depending upon the healthy database you have in your system. This is where the data management is required, which includes defining, retrieving, and managing data forms, field names, etc. Though it may not be every marketer's favorite point of discussion, but a good data management strategy is mission critical to executing a successful marketing program. Poor data management practices, on the other hand, create messy and inconsistent data, which can lead to incorrect reporting that actually precipitates poor business decisions. So bad data management can actually cost you big time, and good data management, however, promotes better data quality. So we have to make sure that the data we have is authentic and has a high potential to convert in future. You may think of bad data as a liability, while good data as an asset. As you can see here, bad data costs around a whopping $3.1 trillion every year to US companies. So you may imagine these numbers on a global level. This is just for US. It mainly includes wasted time and resources and high bounce rates. So getting rid of outdated and faulty records is pretty important here. In order to sell to the right people, the first step that we need to take here is to clean up and streamline our database. This brings us to the next question. How do we do that? Well, there are multiple ways to go about it. One of the workaround that Marketo suggests is to only have the leads in your database to which you actively send out the emails, which we call as marketable leads. Ideally, no other leads should be living in your Marketo database besides those marketable leads. Second is to automate the cleansing process via SmartList. You may set up the filters and say, hey, I can simply remove the people who haven't engaged with my email since last 180 days, or delete all the records with no email addresses or addresses that include any special characters. You can also make use of Marketo's own filter that checks the validity of an email address, or add a filter that gives you all the email addresses that hard bounced. So you can set up a SmartList with those filters and schedule it to run every day, every week, based based on your personal preference. This way, you won't have to worry about it as the cleansing process will be automated. And if you don't clean up your database, you would eventually go above your Marketo's database threshold that could be around 50K or 100K leads based on your subscription plan. And when it does go beyond the threshold, the Marketo support team will reach out to you and will say, hey, you're just going above the threshold, so you can either clean up your database or upgrade your plan. And if you do neither of those, Marketo may seize your account that could put your operations at halt. Our client was facing a similar issue with their data hygiene, so we simply went in, ran some checks, created filters based on their preference, and reduced the database size by around 50%. So our marketing automation teams make sure that the database is being managed efficiently by following the best practices to get the most out of your campaigns. So let's talk about integrations. So you may consider Marketo as a hub with multiple integrations. One of the most important and crucial integrations of these is with Salesforce. You can't simply take chances on this integration being compromised. This should be flawless with zero breakages. So some of the companies have a security policy where Salesforce users' password expires every 90 days. Since Marketo is also integrated through a user, the password change or expiry of that integration user could cause a breakage if it's not taken care of well before time. Salesforce does send out the emails regarding the password expiry, but they could get ignored since no one uses that email address to access their Salesforce, since it's a non-human user that's used for integration purposes only. So to cater that, our team makes sure to log the dates on their calendar when the password expiry date is approaching and resets the Marketo SFDC token with minimal downtime. The team makes sure to plan such activities when there's least traffic expected. It does seem like a very minor point, but its impact is massive, and it directly hits your sales operations and eventually the entire business. Our client was facing a similar issue of breakages between Marketo and Salesforce, and by just simply scheduling the token reset dates, we were able to overcome those breakages over time. Then there's LinkedIn integration. It's important when it comes to lead generation. So our client had this LinkedIn and Marketo integration done, but some of the important fields were still not populating in Marketo even though they were present in the LinkedIn form. The key here is to do the right field mapping that works in every scenario. For example, LinkedIn could have two fields for email. One could be a work email and the other one could be a regular email. In Marketo, you can simply have one field that actually maps both of those unless you're maintaining two separate fields in Marketo based on your target audience. This way, irrespective of what email field is used in LinkedIn form, the data gets captured in Marketo. Coming to compliance, since we have been working with Fortune 500s and Silicon Valley startups, privacy compliance had always been a major concern. In this case, our client had all the forms set up, and in those forms, the submit button had a condition that it used to verify if the user had agreed with the terms and conditions or not. If they didn't checkmark the terms and condition box, it didn't let them submit. But in the records, there was no proof against each lead whether they accepted it or not, or if they did, when exactly did they do it. So we came up with the flow where we created EULA, end user license agreement fields, which used to populate with a discrete value, 1 for true if they accepted it and 0 for false if they didn't. We also added a field that captured the exact date and time of acceptance. This way, we were able to rectify the EULA compliance concern for this client. So whenever the auditors want to have a look, they can simply see the status of EULA acceptance against each lead record. Now, I'll hand over to Ahmed to walk us through the Salesforce part of this automation stack.
So to start off what we did in Salesforce, we first addressed one of the biggest issues our client was facing, that was of duplicate records. So in Salesforce, duplicate records are within your database that share data with another record. So they might be 100% carbon copies of another record, or maybe just partial duplicates that contain only some part of the information, such as email addresses, phone numbers, or names. So there were a lot of issues that our client was facing due to them, and I'll talk about the main ones that had the most significant impact. Starting off with the first one. The first one was that there was a significant lack of a single prospect view. So sales reps were mostly dependent on their ability to quickly contact prospects to maximize sales that they generated. So a problem with this was that the duplicate entries added an extra step to all of this. That was checking for duplicates to make sure that we have the most up-to-date information for each prospect that they seek to contact. So marketing staff had to double check that they weren't sending the same campaign twice to the same prospect. And the customer success team also had to check that they had the most up-to-date information of a prospect that they were engaging with. So it was challenging to get a single customer view, which created a feeling of no confidence that the team can't understand all the engagements and interactions that their product has had with the customer. So it did not allow them to be specific and intentional with their communication with customers. The second issue was that there was a negative perception building up about our clients' products and services. Multiple instances of the same prospect were created in Salesforce and assigned to different reps. The prospect had engaged with products by reading blog posts, subscribed to the email list, and had several conversations with sales reps, and when they discussed the specific needs of their organization and how their client solution can benefit from everything. So after that, they used to set up a call with sales rep only to find out that they don't have any context of the conversations that they've had with the previous sales reps. They were covering topics that have already been discussed, and they don't have a full understanding of their full organizational needs. So they may not even fully understand why they are interested in the solution that the company was providing. This caused the customers to lose confidence in the company services and eventually the product they wanted to buy. So because of problems like these, we had to eliminate all the duplicates in the database. Now coming to the solution, so what we did was that we used demand tools to identify all the existing duplicates in Salesforce. Demand tools is a versatile and a secure data management platform for cleaning and maintaining CRM data. Identified duplicates were classified into categories, and each category had its own definition of a duplicate. For example, the first category, the records were 100% match, and in the second category, the records had only the same name and email, and so on. A merge criteria was then defined for each category of duplicates, and the primary contact, which was the contact to keep, was selected based on the values of multiple fields, for example, last activity date, the role of the prospect in the company, or the address. The criteria were then mapped into demand tools for all the different categories of duplicates and then merged, resulting in a lot of positive outcomes. Before I speak about the positive outcomes, we needed to ensure that once the duplicates were finished, they are not getting created again in our system. So to prevent the creation in the future, we created multiple matching rules which are based on the criteria defined to merge duplicates. The matching rules basically helped identify all different categories of duplicates being created in Salesforce. So once the matching rules were set, we created duplicate rules which defined what action needed to be taken after the duplicate was identified by a matching rule. The actions were mainly to show the record owner an alert that he or she had created a duplicate, or to eventually stop the creation of the record that was being created by the user. So now let's talk about the outcomes of all of this. Now each rep had a new and different lead to work on, which resulted in lead engagements to be 100%. It was time saving for the sales support and marketing teams, as they did not have to validate data of the prospect before engaging. There were fewer or no duplicate activities being performed now on any of the leads or contacts. So because of this, there was a unified customer view, since all the engagements were recorded on a single prospect record. Only one rep was working on one prospect, so this improved the conversations between rep and the potential customers. The people interested in the products of the company had much more confidence while buying due to the improved customer service. So previously, there were a lot of disputes between the sales team about commissions on the products sold, since that was done through multiple instances of the same prospect assigned to different reps, and multiple people had worked on them before the sale happened. So this issue was also eliminated. After our client's data was deduplicated, we implemented lead routing in Salesforce. It is the process of distributing incoming leads among the sales rep. Each rep in the sales team was instructed to engage with only leads of a specific territory. To make sure that reps were assigned the leads of the right territory automatically, we created lead assignment rules so that the leads were being assigned in real time. We chose round robin as a lead assignment strategy. So this strategy basically focuses on a group of possible owners based on what territory the lead belonged to, and assigned each lead to an owner until each owner had received the lead. The cycle was then repeated until all the incoming leads had been assigned. So this had a lot of advantages. The first one mainly was that the response time of the sales team, sales rep to engage with the prospect was significantly increased. This is important as customers today have a short attention span and are accustomed to instant response from business wherever they've put in a query. So they expected to be contacted within an hour or two after making the initial request, and if you fail to do that, they will turn to your competition, obviously. And the automation of lead management enabled sales to properly collect and analyze lead data, improve sales intelligence, spot different lead routing trends, and improve the overall forecasting accuracy. Leads were now well distributed and resulted in fewer dead calls, more closed deals, and helped build better relationships with all the potential customers of our client. After lead routing, we implemented territory management. It is a tool that helps organizations manage accounts and opportunities by territory. The lead, after it was being converted by the sales team in Salesforce, created a contact, account, and opportunity. So as a part of territory management tool, we created a territory hierarchy to organize accounts so that they are easy to classify and work on. Territory assignment rules were created to assign accounts to correct territories based on the geographic location extracted from their address. So sales reps were assigned territories which were the same to the territories of the leads they had to engage with. Since the sharing model for the accounts and opportunities was private, the reps could only view and edit those records of which the territories they were assigned to. So this improved record management overall. So the sales rep assigned to each territory varied based on the number of leads incoming for each territory. This ensured that all the territories and market segments are adequately served to increase the company's overall revenues. So that's it from my side. Over to you, Ayesha.
All right, great. Thank you, Rahman and Ahmed, for such a detailed walkthrough of our customer case study. And I really hope our audience could extract valuable information out of it and apply some of the best practices we discussed during this session to apply it to your Marketo and Salesforce instance to boost up their productivity. Feel free to interact with us going through our social media channels. The links will be given in the description below. If you have any questions, please reach us out at letstalk@xgrid.co and your answer will be on its way. And if you have any project that you would want to discuss with Xgrid, we'd love to hear from you. So thank you guys. Have a nice day.